Tippi Hedren was not afraid of birds. In her dressing room, the 32-year-old actress had a raven named Buddy. Hedren was co-starring in The Birds, Alfred Hitchcock's film set in the northern California seaside town of Bodega Bay, whose avian population was slowly, strangely turning on the residents and attacking them. Buddy was not like those birds. He pranced around, messing with Hedren's makeup, amusing her endlessly. Buddy was her one true friend on the set, so much so that she put a sign on her dressing room door saying Buddy and Tippi. As far as Hedren was concerned, her Hollywood story had begun as a fairy tale. One morning, Hitchcock saw the blonde model in an ad for a diet drink on television. The renowned director was so enraptured that he signed her to play the female lead in his next film. At her age, Hedren's days as a top model were over. She knew how lucky she was that Hitchcock had come forward. Hedren knew almost nothing about acting, but Hitchcock took her and molded her into the image he desired. That was all wonderful, but strange things started happening once The Birds began shooting. Hitchcock warned the other men involved in the production to stay away from Hedren. She was often alone on set and increasingly isolated. A single mother, Hedren was lonely and missing her child during the long shooting days. One day, she said Hitchcock tried to embrace her in the chauffeur-driven car in which they were traveling. As Hedren waited to be called to the set, the assistant director, James H. Brown, entered her dressing room. He appeared worried. "What's the matter with you?" Hedren asked.
"We can't use the mechanical birds,"
he said, the words barely audible. Well, what are we going to use?" Hedren asked, though the answer should have been obvious.
"The mechanical birds don't work, and we have to use real ones."
This startled Hedren, and it took her a while to compose herself. Hedren had already suffered through the birds attacking her and various schoolchildren as they ran down the street in Bodega Bay. But that was nothing like the scores of birds set to go after Hedren this morning as she opened the attic door. In Hitchcock's 4 decades of filmmaking, there had never been a scene like this. 2 minutes, so dangerous and, in the director's mind, so pleasurable to an audience seeking vicarious thrills. Hedren knew the scene had to be shot. As apprehensive as she was, what choice did she have but to leave her dressing room and walk out on the set? Hedren saw that the crew had built a cage attached to the attic door. The trainers inside wore long, thick leather gloves to protect themselves. Beside them sat 4 good-sized boxes full of ravens and gulls. As Hedren stood before the closed door, Hitchcock yelled, "Action!" She opened the door, and the handlers started hurling live birds at her. The flapping of feathers, the screams, the squawks. It was terrifying for everyone on set. If this had gone on for a few takes, that would have been one thing. But Hitchcock insisted on continuing until he got every shot he believed he needed. Days passed. On the 5th straight day of shooting this scene, to get the most intimate perspectives of the attacking birds, the crew attached elastic bands to Hedren and tied the feet of several birds to the bands. "Action!" Hitchcock shouted. The birds had been trained to claw at a person, and they did their job well. Hedren already had bruises over much of her body from days of working with the creatures, but this was a whole new level of hurt. The assault continued until the middle of the afternoon, when one of the birds pecked near Hedren's eyes. An inch or 2 closer, and she might have lost her sight. Hedren could take no more. "I'm finished," she said. The handlers untied the birds and put them in the cartons. Hedren lay on the floor of the set, crying. Silence fell. When she finally looked up, everyone was gone, and she was alone on the vast soundstage. She did not know whether her colleagues were ashamed or just glad the business was over.